Operation Arctic Frost. We've been hearing about this for a little while. We heard that it was a few senators, a handful of people over here. Now it turns out it might be something huge, much bigger than that. I want to get with Senator Ron Johnson, great state of Wisconsin. Ron, how are you? Good to see you again.
Doing well, Joe. Hope you are too.
I am. So Operation Arctic Frost. This was Jack Smith went after, I thought it was 13 senators. Now we've got this news that just broke. I guess it's targeting 160 GOP operatives. You were out in front of this today. Fill my audience in. What the hell is this thing? They were going after all you guys?
Well, first of all, I mean, he was targeted to go after Donald Trump.
Right.
It's interesting. Donald Trump announced to run for president, and 3 days later, Merrick Garland appoints Jack Smith, who's just an attack dog. He's known for, an aggressive prosecutor. You show me the individual, I'll find somebody to charge that individual with. So that's who Jack Smith is.
Right.
So Arctic Frost is mainly targeted Donald Trump. Well after they indicted Donald Trump, they collected the phone records of 8 senators and one House member. But now through whistleblower, we got another 1,700 pages of documents. In there's 197 subpoenas, and these weren't finely targeted subpoenas. These are broad subpoenas, basically a fishing expedition looking for everything but the kitchen sink. And a basic enemies list. There were 38 Wisconsinites on that list.
Wow.
And I know a lot of them. These are God-fearing, country-loving, law enforcement supporting individuals on the enemies list of the Biden administration, just because they agreed to be alternate electors to be able to maintain a legal position for the President of the United States as he was going through a legitimate legal process, looking at the irregularities of the Wisconsin election. Did the same thing that John F. Kennedy did in Hawaii. It's a good thing he did because he prevailed in Hawaii, and those alternate electors were there to vote for JFK, whereas Al Gore didn't have good enough attorneys, didn't have an alternate slate of electors. So by the time his case got Supreme Court, the Supreme Court basically would say, regardless of the merit of your case, even if you win, you don't have any electors to vote for you,
right?
So you lose. So again, Judge Troupas was a good lawyer, made sure we had the alternate slate of electors. He's being destroyed by lawfare as a result of his advocacy for his client. And you got 38 Republicans in Wisconsin that were targeted by the Biden administration, put on their enemies list.
It's absolutely sick. Well, it is, and by the Constitution, you have every right to challenge the outcome of an election. There's nothing illegal about that. But, I mean, there were cases brought in Arizona, Wisconsin, as you said, Michigan, Georgia, that they had an alternate slate of electors. You have to have them ready in case it turns out the election result was wrong in that state. So by what authority, Ron, did Jack Smith go and do this? Did he get a warrant? Did he have probable cause? Was there anything other than what you said, just making a target list?
He was appointed by Attorney General Merrick Garland, and he worked for President Biden, who made his views of half of America very well known. I've got the quote here. In front of Independence Hall, President Biden said, Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans, in other words, half of America,
right,
represent an extremism that threatens the very foundation of our republic. He went on a year later, MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy. So that's what Joe Biden thought. Everybody that worked for him were basically given the marching orders, go and arrest, target, create an enemies list of all these potential domestic terrorists. And that's really what Arctic Frost is about.
Was that the speech where he had like the guards behind, the military behind him, and all the red imagery, or it looked like it was out of Nazi Germany?
Dark. Yep.
So he comes out and says that. He clearly says that side better shut up or we will throw that ass in jail. Goes after Trump, raids his home when he knew that he had every right to have every document that he had there, bringing him up on charges in Atlanta, which made no sense. So this lawfare was 4 full years, right? I mean, this wasn't just Jack Smith, by the way, is the same guy that went after the Virginia governor and successfully got him out of the race by lying about him. Then the Supreme Court said, I think it was 8-1 or 9-0, that Jack Smith was wrong, but it was already too late because the Democrat had won in Virginia. Do you think this is what they were doing? Bring lawfare as long as we get the wins in the elections. Doesn't matter if it's true.
Well, first of all, the process is the punishment.
Okay.
Look at Trump. They didn't have a leg to stand on legally, but the process was the punishment. Kept him off the campaign trail. It's going on today, Joe. We've got Judge Troupas, an honorable person, probably the best election lawyer, end up being a judge as well in Wisconsin. That's who President Trump used. Josh Kaul, our attorney general, his office initially to the Wisconsin Election Commission had an opinion saying there was nothing wrong with what Judge Troupas did in terms of developing that alternate slate of electors. Now Josh Kaul has indicted him with felonies. He wants to put Judge Troupas behind bars for life. It's already cost Judge Troupas probably about $1 million. He's destroyed him financially.
What is the charge? What is the charge?
They make examples of people of that.
But you have to have a charge. It has to be something you can say. I am charging you with this. What did he allegedly do wrong?
So they're charging them with
election interference?
Forgery.
Forgery.
Yeah, it's a forgery charge. These were fake electors. This is, so it's a forgery. It's complete BS. But unfortunately, the radical leftists sitting on the courts in Wisconsin are allowing the case to go forward. I've seen Judge Troups's motion to dismiss. I don't see how any fair-minded person, no matter how partisan you are, couldn't look at that motion to dismiss and go, yeah, this is a total BS case. They didn't. The lawfare continues because they're all in on it.
Well, Ron,
the
as
Democrat
you were
Party
saying,
is all in it. They're all about power.
The process is the punishment. You're right, because if this gets to the Supreme Court, easily, it's not forgery. If I sign Ron Johnson, I'm forging your name. If I sign my name on an alternate slate of electors, I'm not forging anything. So the case doesn't even make any sense on its alleged merits. So they know it's going to go to the Supreme Court, but it costs them $1 million. That's the punishment, right?
Yeah, it's already cost $1 million, and they haven't even gone to trial.
Wow.
Again, the legal process drags out for a very long time. So I'm coming from the business world. I'm not a real fan of lawyers because it's only the lawyers that win. But in this case, the Democrat Party wins because, for example, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, they've had to get rid of all kinds of partisans in their agencies, right?
Yes.
A lot of people quit. They simply couldn't, as partisans, serve for Trump. Now they've got to, rehire and fill up the agency with people who actually carry out the president's agenda. They're having a hard time doing that because people made an example of Judge Troupas. I mean, do you want to give up your law degree and your practice and stuff as much as you'd like to serve in this administration for three or 4 years to be destroyed by the Democrat lawfare?
I get it. No, that's a real fear because as much as we think online they all stopped, squelching conservatives, and conservatives have the House and the Senate and the presidency, happy days are here again. You're right. There's a deep state of thousands and thousands of people that will still do this stuff to you. Let me finish on Arctic Frost. Will Jack Smith face the music? Merrick Garland? Joe Biden? Who's at fault here? Because you can't criminally attack people in the United States for having free speech or for doing something that's not illegal. Who's going to pay?
So first of all, again, I know this isn't a very satisfying answer to people in your audience and stuff. The number one thing we have to do is expose this. Okay. So in the press conferences, people asked about a special counsel. I don't want one yet. I don't even want a criminal investigation yet, because as soon as that happens, all those records get sucked up into the Justice Department. They can't release them by their own rules. Right. They get put in a court process. It gets protected under grand jury rules. And the public never gets to see this. If they get indicted, they get to see what bits of evidence are targeted toward that specific criminal act. Everything else gets sealed, and the public's never aware of it. So the first thing we must do, a robust internal investigation, turn those records over to Congress so that we can do our investigation. We can bring people in for transcribed interviews. We can hold hearings so the American public knows what happened in all its gory detail. If we don't do it that way, they'll never know. They'll never know. It is
Senator Ron Johnson, great state of Wisconsin. We appreciate you coming on. Johnson.senate.gov. The shutdown is the Schumer shutdown. I did a TikTok live last night, 1,500 people in there, and there is so much confusion about how both sides have to get together and negotiate. There's literally nothing to negotiate, save for Rand Paul, who's always said no to CRs because he doesn't like all the spending. You've got 55 now, including 2 Democrats and an independent. You just need 5 more votes to get this thing done and get it to the president to sign it. Is there something Republicans can do less than giving $1.5 trillion in free health care to illegals and everybody else, that you can make this thing happen? I mean, you literally are doing just let's do a clean CR. Is there anything you guys can do on your side? I don't think so, but is there?
First of all, let's lay out the reality. the House basically is like a car dealership where we don't bargain. We don't make you try and negotiate for the low price. It's our lowest price offer right up front, right?
Right.
So the House could have come in with a continuing resolution that cut 1.5 trillion, because the Democrats came in with a continuing resolution that spent 1.5 trillion, right?
Exactly.
Now you can negotiate, right? But when you come in with your no negotiation final bid offer, which by the way was what the Democrats passed 13 times
Yes.
during the Biden administration at Biden spending levels. I mean, it's just like nothing could be more reasonable.
Right.
What I've tried to do is try and pass the Eliminate Shutdown Act, which would get rid of shutdowns for all time. Okay. Appropriators on both sides don't like that because I think they kind of like this shutdown because that's how they pass these massive spending bills we can't afford. But right now I'm working on the Shutdown Fairness Act. Let's at least pay people that are being forced to work, that are keeping us safe, like the military, like federal law enforcement, like air traffic control. This is going to blow up in everybody's face when all of a sudden you can't fly anywhere, right?
Right.
But we shouldn't be using federal workers as pawns in the Washington dysfunction game. Don't punish federal workers for Congress's dysfunction, or no, the Senate Democrats' dysfunction. This isn't the Senate failing. This is Senate Democrats blocking the most reasonable proposal Republicans have put up in a very long time, probably.
Their message, Ron, on the other side is that you don't want women, infants, and children to get food. You don't want SNAP, so food stamps to continue. You want health care to go away from all of the Americans who have it right now because the Republicans just don't want people to eat and have health care, which is so stupid. But for some reason, it resonates. It's a small number of people that believe it. It's resonating. What are you hearing in the Senate? Is anybody on the left going up and saying, dude, Ron, I would like to vote for this, but Schumer's got the leverage on me? Is there some sort of a chink in the armor here or not?
Well, they definitely want to vote for the Shutdown Fairness Act, which would pay not only people being forced to work, but I've added furloughed workers because they're going to get paid when all said and done anyway. So let's pay them on time.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of Democrats who would vote for that. We just got to get the language right. We've got public sector unions in favor of that. They're kind of chomping on the bit to see the language so they can write us letters of support. So I think that's something we can do so we can at least make sure that, like I say, that the basic services those people providing them get paid. It's a fair thing to do. But no, Democrats seem to be pretty dug in because they have the mainstream media, the lamestream media on their side. They can be pretty confident they're really never going to get blamed too severely for this. Certainly not like Republicans if we were taking the same position.
But they did it. It's literally a clean CR. And by the way, I want those watching and listening to hear it from you. Wasn't it the Democrats that sunset the subsidies from Obamacare because of the pandemic on December 31st? It wasn't you guys, right? It was the Democrats.
Yeah. So first of all, understand what the enhanced subsidies are all about, further masking the failure of Obamacare. Inflation since Obamacare was instituted has gone up 39%. Health premiums, on the other hand, have doubled, tripled, quadrupled, quintupled. Okay, that's because of Obamacare. And where you're hearing people's premiums are going to double. What's happening is people above 400% poverty line that never got a subsidy. Those subsidies are going away because you don't have COVID anymore.
Right.
So they compare a subsidized out-of-pocket amount to now the insurance premium without subsidy at all. Most people under 400% of the poverty line, or 400 or lower, the subsidies continue. The same old Obama subsidies that were there before the pandemic will continue. I think somebody at the poverty line, if you're a household of 4 people, 30-year-old parents, your $18,000 policy you were getting for free during the pandemic, you'll get $17,500 paid for. You'll have to pay $10 a week for your health care. Now, most of us pay a whole lot more than that.
A whole lot more, yeah. Again, the argument is you have to negotiate with us on something that we set a date for, and we don't want that date to come, which is not till December 31st. So let's shut down the government in September. Ron, I'm confused. Maybe I'm just not smart enough to follow all this, but the government's been shut down for more than 4 weeks, been shut down for a month, and I see no movement on the left, and they keep on putting out signs about ballrooms. I mean, when you're working in that chamber with 100 elite representatives of states, 2 in every state, do you deal with Chuck Schumer? Do you talk to him and say, Chuck, what are you doing? Okay, do you have that kind of relationship or not?
You use the term elite, so I'm kind of chuckling. I don't listen. I'm dealing with people that I think it can accomplish something with, and there are a few reasonable ones. So I'm working right now on the Shutdown Fairness Act. Chuck, this whole thing is engineered by Chuck Schumer. He's really not worth talking to at this point in time. He's worried about a primary with AOC. So this is all about his political career. So he's happy, even though the Democrat Party by and large represents unionized federal workers, right? He's happy to use them as pawns for his political career. That's exactly what's happening right now. It's unconscionable. Shouldn't happen. This is totally ridiculous. Again, the solution is the Eliminate Shutdown Act. But even our appropriators voted against that. Go figure.
Yeah.
But that's really the long-term solution. I am so sick of these shutdown fights. Just end them. It's just so easy to do. It's so common sense. I think 99% of the American public would agree. Stop this.
I had a guy call the show yesterday who said, I forget where he was, I think in Kansas City. And he said, well, can't the Republicans negotiate and just give them what they want? Well, you could, but then you're going to increase spending by $1.5 trillion. That's not the way it works. The Republicans are on the right side of this. The Democrats are on the wrong side of this. It's not going to work out well for them. It's U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. About a minute left, Ron. Are we starting to get the actual truth about the pandemic? Are we getting real fact out there? Because there's still this big blowback because Bobby Kennedy wants to tell the truth about it. And how dare he say, this, that, and the other thing was bad. Maybe we should hold back on this and the other. And the adverse effects are real. Is the American public, in your opinion, because you've been in front of this since the beginning, are we finally getting the real story? Is it just slowly but surely coming out? Are we getting all of it?
Well, the information's been out there for quite some time. It's to what extent has it emanated and more people are aware of it. Listen, the medical establishment, the corrupt federal agencies, they're going to continue to cover up for their misdeeds. Nobody's going to want to admit that the injection killed people, maimed them for life. Nobody wants to admit that. So we really are in a societal-wide state of denial here, and that's going to take some time. But the information's out there if you have the courage to open up your eyes and actually hear the truth.
Well, I love that he survived. I love that nobody's trying to push him out. I mean, the left would like to see him go, but what he's done and combining the knowledge of all the doctors surrounding him, I think it's been so beneficial to us. You think we're going to get to the point to where we say, just don't take that stupid shot anymore. We're not sure what the hell it does to you. Are we there yet?
Well, again, I think the low uptake of the injection proves that people have gotten that information.
Good.
Again, I'm a right to try guy. I can't tell you exactly that, maybe in your particular situation, maybe that's beneficial.
Yeah.
And what Bobby Kennedy needs to do is he needs to restore integrity to science. That takes time. So, I mean, this science hasn't been conducted. I mean, they never done a study,
right?
Vax versus unvaxxed. Now we've got the Henry Ford study. I mean, there have been some studies, but again, not sanctioned, not embraced by the mainstream public. The Henry Ford study, they conducted it, showed that vaxxed children had 2.5 times the rate of chronic illness. They didn't publish that study.
Crazy.
I forced their hand by entering it in the public record because I got my hands on it.
Well,
so it's going to take time for the CDC to actually provide the grants to commission these studies. Then you have to undertake them. And science isn't easy, and it doesn't give you a black and white answer all the time. So this takes time to restore integrity. But Peter McCulloch just published his kind of meta-analysis on studies that are out there showing pretty conclusively that vaccines are associated with autism. And I think if you're a parent of an autistic child and it was a perfectly normal child, they got a vaccine, all of a sudden they don't speak again. You're pretty convinced, even though it's anecdotal, that that vaccine caused that injury to your child. So, again, more and more people are open to that fact. I think the safe and effective mantra is becoming less effective, and that's a good thing. And people like Andrew Wakefield, who is a real hero, the more people hear how outrageously his career was destroyed by just listening to parents and reporting what he was hearing.
Right.
I think when people start actually understanding the injustice done, how the cartels have destroyed people that were just trying to warn people, I think that'll wake people up, and the realization may break pretty quickly.
Well, Ryan, you've been out in front of this since the very beginning, and you've been courageous enough to do so in the face of all of this backlash. They try to get you out of your job by spending $80 or $100 million to get rid of you. I'm glad that you're still doing it for us, and I'm proud to have you as a friend and as a senator from the great state of Wisconsin. It's U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, johnson.senate.gov. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on. Have a great day.
All right, you too. We're back after this. Stay right here.